When I think about parents with blind children, what comes to mind first is the importance of knowing blind people and working with blind people. Parents are a part of the general population and have all the same misconceptions that others do about blindness. And so when parents have a child who happens to be blind, they're challenged by their own ideas about blindness. And I remember my parents telling me that they actually met with a blind couple when they found out that I was blind, because they just had no idea what to do and how to do it. And so they went to a source who's going to know. And I think it's really important for parents to have access to blind people to find out that though there are challenges and obstacles, that life doesn't have to be a tragedy for a blind child. In fact, having high expectations for blind children really is the key to success, rather than coddling blind children and or not giving them opportunities to do things in the real world that sighted people do. As a blind person, I grew up with a dad who said that I could do anything I set my mind out to do. So he said the sky's the limit. I think that in blind people having dreams, many times those dreams are squelched by others who don't know how somebody could actually do certain things or could actually fulfill that dream. Really, what I would say to a blind person is don't put your dreams aside. Find out how that can happen. It's really important to connect with other blind people who are doing things that others can't even imagine. When we were working with a blind student who took an engineering class, we connected that person with blind adults who are engineers. I don't have an engineering mind. I don't know how it could be done as a blind person, but that's because I don't have the knowledge and I don't have the skills and I don't have the tools. Other people would say, well, I can't imagine how that would be done, so that means blind people can't do it. Instead of saying, okay, even if I can't imagine it, who has the answers? So it's even more important for blind people than others to go to the source who has the answers, because there's so much misconception about what blind people can or cannot do. There's actually a blind doctor in the Madison area, and people have trouble imagining how that can be. But there have been a few blind doctors through the years who have, despite all the challenges and obstacles, they've succeeded. And it's because they followed their dream and they found out how to do it and who could help them do it, rather than say it's impossible for a blind person to do. Milwaukee in many ways is a very accessible city for blind people. It's a grid pattern, there's public transportation. A big challenge for Milwaukee is all the cuts to monies for transportation. And it's amazing what Milwaukee County Transit has done, despite continuing to be challenged with dollars. And if we could have more bus routes, faster service, more accessibility both in the city and regionally, that would make an amazing difference for blind people. Transportation is really one of the biggest challenges. I would love to see Milwaukee really take on public transportation in a big way. It would not only help blind and visually impaired people, it would just help the whole community. I think that's one of the biggest challenges that I think Milwaukee faces for blind people. When I think about being a part of the community and growing up blind, what I really like people to look at is how can I get to know a blind person? How can this be done as a blind person? And challenge one's creativity to think outside the box instead of being afraid of somebody who's different than than you. I'd like to see blind people integrated in every facet of life, and that means sighted people making room for blind people and finding out what it's really like. What's the truth about blindness rather than one's own misconceptions about being blind.